Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I know it's been a while since I've updated you guys, but I'm excited to hop on today and to give you guys a really quick update on a few different things, where I'm at with my treatments, how things are going, and to give you guys just an overall update of what's been going on with me. With my stage 4 breast cancer diagnosis. So before we hop into that, I want to thank each and every one of you for subscribing to my YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed, make sure you hit that button and click on the subscribe link. I will be doing a better job, I promise, with keeping you guys update along the journey and just providing short videos of things that I'm doing, things that are going on with me, so to kind of keep you guys in the loop. But without further ado, I want to jump right into it and want to talk about a few different things. We're going to go over my diagnosis again for those of you that are new to the channel or this is your first video that you've watched. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about my chemo treatments, side effects, and we're going to talk about resources, things that I've been using to kind of get through the diagnosis, and places that I have found the most help with my diagnosis, with my treatment. We'll talk about a little bit about my team and what's next for me. So here we go. Okay, so let's jump right into it. For those of you that are new to my channel, or if this is your first video that you are watching from my series, I wanted to talk a little bit about my diagnosis. So I was diagnosed with invasive ductal carcinoma of my left breast, and was also diagnosed as metastatic. We had, through a series of scans, tests, I think I've done every test, everything under the sun that you can think of. We found that my cancer had spread to the bone in my sternum. So at that point, I was classified as stage 4 breast cancer, and this was last year. It was September 13th of last year. So I just actually celebrated my 1-year cancerversary. Woohoo! So I'm excited about that. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. But my particular cancer is considered triple negative breast cancer. I think I did a video about this previously. So if you want more information, more details on what that means and that classification, I'll try to post a link in the description of the video so you can take a look at that and find out a little bit more about what that means. But yes, so essentially, I was diagnosed invasive ductal carcinoma, stage 4 triple negative breast cancer. At the time of my particular diagnosis, I was experiencing pain in my left breast, and I did have a lump that I found on my own through self-exam, and that kind of started a series of me. I initially went into my gynecologist to have her at an appointment, a routine appointment that I had already had scheduled, to have her to check it out. And then she was the one that referred me for ultrasound and a mammogram as well. And so from there, that's when things kind of, took off as far as me finding the lump and going in for the biopsy, and then confirming the actual diagnosis. Okay, so that's basically it in a nutshell, and kind of where I am right now. The mass that we found at the time of my diagnosis was massive. It was 14 centimeters at the time of the diagnosis, and I did have, in addition to the spread to my sternum, I did have active lymph nodes on my right side as well that showed activity on the PET scan for cancer when we did the scans as well. So that's it in a nutshell. I just kind of wanted to give you guys an idea of my actual diagnosis, so you know kind of where I am, and overall what the diagnosis was for me. Next up, we're gonna talk about my chemo treatments, and I made some notes here so that I don't get sidetracked, but I started out with chemo. So I was diagnosed in September of last year. We started my first chemo treatment in October. And that particular treatment, we did Gemzar, carboplatin, and then we did an immunotherapy that we added, which was Keytruda. And so some of you that remember from my update from my first PET scan may remember that we had amazing results out of the gate. We really did. I had a deep response to the chemo right out of the gate, and we tested 3 months in. So 3 months on those 3 drugs, we did a test and we did a scan to just kind of check in and see how things were going, and the results were pretty remarkable. So at that time, we decided, my oncologist and I, that we didn't feel like we necessarily had plateaued on that particular treatment. So we wanted to do 3 more months to get, the absolute best results that we could out of that treatment. So we did another 3 months on the Gemzar, the carboplatin, and the Keytruda, and then we retested again. Okay, so after the second scan, a second retest on Gemzar, carbo, and Keytruda, we noticed and we realized that my cancer was actually adapting to the actual treatment at that time. So nothing had spread any further, and I was maintaining stability, but the scans did show activity again in my breast and my lymph nodes and in my the Mets in my sternum, which prior to that it was nothing. You couldn't see really anything at all on the scan. So we knew then that my cancer was starting to slowly adapt to the chemo. So we then switched to my second line of treatment, which was AC. Now, for those of you that may not be familiar, AC is I think the strongest chemo drug that was ever created. So we started on AC for my second line of treatment to see where we would go from that. We did 4 rounds of that particular chemo. I think that's the max you can do, just for heart reasons, health reasons, that sort of thing, because it is so strong. And with that one, again, I maintained stability through the entire time. This one was one that I was really, I had a lot of anxiety about doing this chemo. I was very scared. I had heard so many nightmares about this particular chemo and what it does to most people. And so I was terrified going into it. I had talked to my doctor about it, my oncologist about it. I talked to my infusion team about it, and they worked beautifully with me to kind of prepare me and to get me ahead of the curve with side effects. And so with this particular chemo, which is also affectionately known as the Red Devil, for the red color of the actual drug itself. I'll see if I can post a little video or a little picture of it so you guys can see what it looks like. It's absolutely terrifying. But I worked with my team on that and just voiced my concerns about the side effects that I was kind of afraid of, and they worked really well with me on that. I am happy to say, though, for me personally, the one single side effect that I had on AC was just extreme fatigue. And when I say extreme fatigue, I mean I was literally sleeping more than I was awake. I would literally sleep 12 plus hours a day, like no energy at all whatsoever. Even just, getting up to go from the bathroom to the bedroom or to the kitchen or whatever was exhausting. It would literally, like, my heart rate would spike like I had ran down the street. So it was tough. It was really, really tough. I was pretty much bed stricken for the entirety of the 4 rounds that we did. We did 4 rounds over 8 weeks on AC, and that was probably the toughest that I've done of all of the chemo treatment. So I was really excited when we were done with that. We scanned again after that, and like I said, we maintained stability on AC. So what that means is nothing spread any further. So the current cancer that I have and what we already knew, so from my breast, my lymph nodes, my sternum, all kind of just remained the same. Nothing grew, but it just kind of remained contained. So that in itself was a good thing. I had hoped, for a deep response again, and I had really hoped for shrinkage and a couple of other things. But at the end of the day, being able to maintain stability is super important, and it's huge as well. After AC, we transitioned over to Xeloda and Exempra. Now, this was a 2-part chemo for me. So Exempra was done via infusion, and then the Xeloda was done via oral pills. So it was a little tricky getting used to that, because I would do an infusion on week 1, and then I would do the Xeloda pills for 2 weeks straight, taking those, I think it was 3 pills twice a day, I think. And so that was a little tough to just kind of keep up with. Now, the side effects for that were a little bit more manageable. I did have fatigue. I had a little bit of neuropathy, which was no fun, which kind of gives you that needle, like tingling feeling in your hands and in your feet. And I had a little bit of gastrointestinal issues as well, but again, super manageable, just like it was when on my first line of treatment with Gemzar, Xeloda, and Gemzar, carboplatin, and Keytruda. Same kind of side effects, very similar with that. Easy to manage. It wasn't too bad, nothing major. And I could, manage those side effects with over-the-counter medications, nothing that was like super hardcore prescription medication. So the same thing, we tested after 3 months on that particular treatment. And again, we maintained stability. We saw a little bit of, response to my lymph nodes in that one. And then we also saw just a little bit more of a response in my breast as well. But overall, it was maintaining stability with that particular drug as well. So we recently just started a new chemo treatment, which is Trudelvi. I just started that one in September of this year. And so this will be my 4th line of treatment. Now, to give you guys a quick update with Trudelvi is where I am currently, and it is an infusion. It's a 21-day cycle, just like my original first chemo treatment. 21-day cycle. So I have an infusion on week 1, I have an infusion on week 2, and then we have a week off to just allow my body to kind of bounce back, give my white blood cell counts, my red blood cell counts a chance to kind of increase over that week, and then we start over again. So Trudelvi did really well in clinical trials for triple-negative breast cancer, and so we wanted to try this particular treatment and see how it goes. So far, it's been great so far. No breast pain with this particular one, which is a great sign. I do have some gastrointestinal issues with this one as well, and a little bit of fatigue during that first week or two of the infusions, and then it kind of dies off. So it's not too bad. I haven't had any major side effects with any of the chemo treatments that I've been on. I've been very, very blessed with that. So I have not had like any vomiting, any nausea or loss of appetite or anything major like that. Overall, my main side effects for all 4 of my treatments have just been extreme fatigue, gastrointestinal issues, hair loss. I did lose my hair on AC. I'll post a picture of that in a second here in the video. I did, let's see what else. I did have some neuropathy issues with my 3rd line of treatment, but it wasn't anything, major, crazy, or too bad. It was, easily managed. And then other than that, nothing really crazy as far as my side effects go. So I've been really happy with that I've tolerated chemo thus far. It's been, let's see, a little over a year now that I've been doing chemo, and I'm on the 4th line of treatment and still tolerating it very well, still doing very well on it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we are going to test again for this particular treatment towards the end of November, I'd say probably after Thanksgiving, to just see kind of where we are, to see how things are progressing with the Trudelvi treatment. So I will provide you guys with an update on that as soon as I'm done with that current treatment. So this is a question I get the most. I think that everyone wants to know, like, okay, so how many more treatments do you have? What's the next step, and that sort of thing. And it's tough, and it's a frustrating question, if I'm being honest, because in stage 4, there's not necessarily a true begin and an end type of thing that you get with stage 1 through 3. So stage 4 is a little bit more kind of like a trial and error type of thing. At this point, I literally live in 3-month increments, literally. So the way that things go with the current treatment after we test for 3 months, so on and so forth, determines the next step. So there is no set, like, okay, you're gonna do 25 rounds of chemo, and then we're gonna move on to surgery, or then we're gonna move on to radiation, like it is a lot of times in stages 1 through 3. Stage 4 is it's not like that. It's really we've got to kind of see what happens, see how things go, and then pivot accordingly. So that's a tough question to kind of ask. Now, one thing I will say is that we do have a specific kind of course of action. Right now, since we are on Trudelvi, we are planning, if we don't get the response that we're hoping to get from this one, then we will be planning to look into clinical trials with MD Anderson. And then if we do get a more favorable response from this one, then we may consider doing surgery. Surgery is not typically an option for stage 4. But since I only have mets to one location, which is in my sternum, it is something that they will consider if I have a significantly deep response like I did in the very beginning. We would need to see much more shrinkage in the tumor and a lot more of a response. The issue is that we don't want to jump the gun, go into surgery, and we can't keep the cancer contained. It would literally be a disaster to do that. So surgery could be an option, but it's not a definite option. It's something that we are keeping in our back pocket for when the time may present itself or when it may come. But we want to make sure it's the best time when we do decide to go forward with that. Radiation is also something that is on the table as well. But again, I think what we're going for right now, and my oncologists agree, is we want to see more of a response from chemo before we move forward with any other options. We want to exhaust all of our options as far as clinical trials go, chemo goes, before we move on to the next thing. So that's kind of where we are. My healthcare team and resources. And so this is something that has been really important to me, and something that I definitely want to share. I talk about a lot about advocating for yourself and making sure that you feel comfortable with your team, with your oncologist, with the healthcare plan that's been outlined for you, asking questions and being diligent about certain things. I have been very blessed, and I love my team. I'm actually being treated at MD Anderson and my local team, which is out at Kelsey-Seybold. So I have an oncologist at Kelsey-Seybold, Dr. Sunil Patel. And then I have an oncologist at MD Anderson, Dr. Amina Brewster. So the two of them work collectively on my treatment plans, which gives me a lot more confidence. And it allows me the opportunity to kind of see and have two different opinions on things when it comes to my treatment plans, and when it comes to what we decide to do, when we're moving forward, if it's surgery, if it's radiation. It's just great to have both of those oncologists on my team that are both working collectively for me and with me, which has been amazing to have those resources. I still get my infusions and my scans and things like that at my local Kelsey-Seybold clinic, which was my choice. I prefer the smaller, more, I guess, homier, more family oriented cancer center versus a huge mega cancer center like MD Anderson. But I still have the resources at MD Anderson. I can, if I decided to, I could start getting my chemo treatments there. I could get my scans there. But for me, I was just more comfortable staying with my local team for my infusion, since I had built up a rapport with them and I know them all personally. It just felt better to me in that aspect. Now, if I do go into surgery at some point, I will most likely use the MD Anderson surgeons. For radiation, we'll probably use the MD Anderson radiation team, things like that. But for right now, I just kind of felt more comfortable staying with Kelsey-Seybold to do my chemo infusions at this time. One thing we want to talk about as well is resources. So one thing that has helped me tremendously through this entire process has been the ability to have access to amazing resources. And that's through my Kelsey-Seybold team as well as my MD Anderson team. But one thing that I've really taken advantage of are the resources through MD Anderson. We have an amazing adolescent and young adult group that we meet up in person. We do online meetings. We have a Facebook group, and it's just a great place to connect with people that are my age, that understand what I'm going through, that you can talk to, you can bounce questions off of, and just feel a sense of community when you're going through something that is so crazy, that is just so out of the ordinary, when you are dealing with a diagnosis or just trying to get through day-to-day chemo things or appointments. You just want to have someone that you can kind of touch base with and connect with. And that's been crucial for me. It's great having family and friends, of course, that support you, that love you, care about you, lift you up in prayer. But it's nothing quite like being able to connect with other people, especially your age, that know exactly how you feel, what's going on, and to kind of help you through the journey, or someone that you can walk through the journey with at the same time. So I highly recommend, if you have been newly diagnosed, or if this is something that is just crazy to you and you just feel lost, maybe ask your social workers, get with someone at your cancer center and find out what resources they may have. Some of us, like I do, struggle from anxiety and how to cope with scans and appointments and things like that. There are so many resources out there that a lot of cancer centers will have access to. You just have to ask. So check with your social workers, see what things might be going on within your cancer community, and see if they can provide you referrals for different things that you may specifically need. I have resources, as far as, not just the young adult group, but we have resources for dietitians. We have resources for those that are, needing help with managing their stress and anxiety and all sorts of different things. So it's definitely worth checking into and, taking it into consideration as well. Going forward. And now that I'm back on track with my YouTube videos, I will definitely try to do more new videos, and I would love to hear from you guys on what things you might be interested in hearing about or seeing. I think the next video that I'm planning to do, because I have been getting this question a lot, is what's in my chemo bag. So I'll be sharing a fun video of that soon, to just kind of show you guys what things I take to chemo, what things kind of help in making me comfortable as well. And so that'll be coming soon. In the meantime, make sure you subscribe. Hopefully I have answered some of the burning questions that you guys have had since my last update. But if you do have any other questions, feel free to drop them in the comments, and I will try my best to answer those as soon as I can. But just for now, stay tuned for more updates. If you have not subscribed to my blog, chichomestyle.com, please do so. I will be sharing some updates there as well, as it's just a little bit easier than doing the videos. So but anyway, stay tuned, guys, and I hope that you've enjoyed the update today. I am here, I'm alive and well, and I'm doing great. We're still kicking ass, and yeah, so we plan to continue to do that. So stay tuned for more.